Welcome to the Guys Who Cry podcast. We're back again. Ruben, sorry for arguing with you so much last week.
It's fine. I was just in my feelings last week. That's all it was.
I just went too hard. I should have just stopped or, debate a little.
I
and then
like when we debate. It's just
know.
last week, I think I should have been a little bit more upfront about stuff going on at work. But, it's all right. We're here. We got a guest. I love when we have guests on because I learn. I love learning. So what's up, man? What's up, Quiece?
What's good?
What's up, man? Thank you so much for being on
How do you guys know each other?
the show. So I worked in a church, worship leader, also worked with the youth, and you were a youth at the time, older. You were graduating high school, I think, when I was.
Yeah, I was a junior.
You were a junior, yeah, that's right. So you were actually a leader in the youth group as well. We were a little bit different in age. I'm 35. You're how old now?
22.
22. So you're born and raised in Wilmington, as we all are, which is cool. And then you and Ruben actually ended up going to the same high school, different times, which is
almost 10 years apart. It's fine.
What school is that?
I'm fine. It's Hodson.
It's because I always say it wrong.
Stupid time, right?
Yeah.
Can't believe you're 10. He was like, oh man. I was like, oh, maybe that's how we know each other. And he was like, 2017.
I was like, oh.
I was like,
little difference in time.
Over here.
Make you feel bad for being 30 now, Ruben. No.
31.
Oh, 31. Sorry. I should know. I know. But anyway, so Quiece is a hip hop artist, local, and has performed as far away as Florida, Baltimore, New York, right?
Philly.
Philly. You haven't gone to New York yet?
Not yet. That is one of the places though I do want to go.
Yeah, for sure. But you are also a born again believer, and that's been one of the influences of your music. Would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So the first album, I really like it, is from 2021.
Yeah.
And what's the name of it?
Forgive Me If I Cry.
Which is perfect for us because you were very vulnerable. You like to talk about your feelings, how you're feeling now,
Love it.
Past trauma, past experiences, and how it's led you to be the person that you are today. So, what's one of your major influences, either music, spiritual, besides the Bible, maybe something more specific, like a person or someone you knew or an experience in the past?
I would say one of my biggest influences is the first thing that come to mind is an artist named Ty Brazzle.
Okay.
He's more in the Christian hip hop space.
Sure. Where's he from?
But he's from Memphis.
Okay.
But I really just admired his music, but also just his story.
Yeah.
Especially when I first heard it at a time in my life, it literally got me through school. So
100%. Which you went to Hodson here for high school. Then you decided to, and what led you to this, to pick up and go to a Christian college in upstate New York, Word of Life. What kind of facilitated that transition from high school into college?
Yeah, so junior year is when I met my youth pastor Jack. He shared the gospel with me, on a basketball court. And I was fast forward a year later, I'm about to graduate high school. And I had an electrical apprenticeship license. I was working at a power plant. So I was making good money. I'm 17, I had my own car. I had the girlfriend situation. I was set.
Yeah.
And I remember I went to Jack and I'm just like, yo, is there anywhere I can go to learn more about the Bible? I just had this desire to learn more about this God that I'm hearing about inside church. He was telling me that he went to a Word of Life in Florida that has a campus, and he just looked up on the internet and he was like, yo, there's one in New York. And I'm like, all right, I just packed my bags and I got accepted, filled out everything.
Awesome.
And I just dipped. I felt like there just had to be more. I was like, I'm about to graduate high school and live my life, but this is really it. There's got to be more purpose.
And what a risk to take, because you didn't know anyone there, right?
I didn't know nobody. I literally left everything.
That's wild.
Can you just elaborate a little bit more on this school? Because I have zero clue. Is it a accredited school? Is it a 2-year, 4-year? What is the deal with this Word of Life school?
So Word of Life, it is a 2-year program, and it is accredited too. A lot of times, I guess some people will look at it like, oh, it's not an actual college, but it is accredited. The only difference between Word of Life and a regular college is if you go to Word of Life, it's just straight Bible and ministry. Your class, instead of learning math and English and social studies, a class is the Book of John, and you're just studying.
Gotcha.
And learning how to about your faith and how to share your faith.
That's right. And so in school, is when you picked up pen and started writing, basically, pen metaphorically, but and started writing lyrics, songs, and kind of what was the thing that sort of spurred that on to happen, when we were like, I should start writing or whatever, I think.
Yeah, so 2017, after graduating high school, I left and no research on this school, just packed my bags and left. It definitely was a culture shock for me. Being from the inner city and then going to a place where a lot of the kids were coming from Christian homes already. They grew up in a small town.
Sure.
And I was also just called like one of the only black guys there.
It's wild.
So a lot of times people were kind of like not really approach me. Like,
do you think they were just like intimidated, or just because they didn't know, or like judgmental?
I would say just didn't know. Just a ignorance of just not knowing, you know what I'm saying? And I would spend a lot of time from that. I would spend a lot of time alone. Yeah. And I remember just asking like, God, like, why am I here? Yeah. What am I doing here? Yeah. And I started, out of that question, I was spending time myself. I started writing. And I just started writing about personal things. And even being on a Christian campus, I was like, hold on, like, I can't be the only one who's feeling these things. And I would hear similar stories from other people in different ways. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just go ahead and write about these things. And it kind of made me feel like I had somebody to talk to as I was writing.
100%. I'm curious to know a little bit more about your feelings of loneliness when you were there. Did it get really dark? Do you feel like it was manageable? Their songwriting obviously helped. Yeah. Yeah. Can you elaborate more on like just what you felt? Did you feel like I would really like a relationship, or I want to find some friends, or was the loneliness like, I felt loneliness before to a point where I felt like it was like crippling in some way? Yeah. Did you ever feel like that? It's kind of dark, but it's interesting to know.
Yeah, actually, the loneliness, I remember it like being up there. I've never felt that way before because I was so used to being around friends and stuff. Yeah. And it made me actually just want to isolate. Like I was kind of like, I think the fact that I was on a Christian campus for the first time with a whole bunch of believers, it just made me bitter.
Because you were also pretty new Christian too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It made you bitter.
It actually made, and it was interesting because like, I know I met Jack and he told me about God in, junior year, but it wasn't until I stepped on campus to open up the Bible for myself that I realized like, oh snap, like it's not baptism, it's actually just faith alone in Christ.
You're learning more about what it actually stands for. Yeah.
But yeah, it developed a bitterness in me.
That's wild. Can you tell us a little bit more? Did any of your childhood or past experiences influence any of your writing? How you grew up, where you grew up, family, friends,
I won't say it necessarily influenced my writing, but it influenced my why I do what I do.
Gotcha. Does let me think. How you grew up with, do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have a younger sister and an older brother.
All in the house together?
My older brother, he lives on his own. Yeah. And my younger sister, she lives in the house.
And did you say, I thought you said your dad was kind of influential in your life, or have you been close with him or no?
When I was younger, like I've never really had a relationship with him, but when I was younger, he was like influential.
He worked a lot, I think you told me, right?
He worked a lot. And a lot of things he said to me, as a child, like I took in heavy, but as I got older, I realized a lot of stuff that he was sharing me was just like weird. It was just off.
Okay, so it didn't help you necessarily in your direction in life.
Yeah, that's it right there.
Huh, that's really interesting.
So let's switch tracks. I want to talk about your creative process a little bit, because we're all three pretty creative people. Well, four. All four of us are really creative people. Yes, sorry, Greg. Right. I didn't mean to leave you out of that, because sometimes I forget Greg is kind of like the years in the sky sometimes. Let's talk about your creative process, because I know when so when Drake first came on the scene, I remember he was like, I like writing on a BlackBerry, that was my best Drake. I thought that wasn't bad for a Drake. That was my best Drake. But he used to like writing on a BlackBerry because that's how he felt like comfortable writing. I don't know if he still does or not. Probably not.
Probably not a BlackBerry.
But when you first started writing, were you pen to paper? Were you writing on notes on your iPhone? Like, how were you when you first started writing?
So like at first, I used to just like I had a producer and he would just have a beat and I would literally go to the school cafeteria, write a whole song in like maybe like an hour, and come back and just lay it down. And as I started progressing, like I haven't physically sat down and wrote a song in the last 2 years. Now I more so just hear the beat, it just speaks to me, and I'll just freestyle with it, and then whatever I like or don't like, I'll cut it out and just keep freestyling my verses. So a lot of it is really just nowadays is just coming off the top, honestly.
That's awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah, at first I did start by like writing everything down because I was more into poetry and stuff, but now where I've been at, it's just been flowing out.
I've heard more artists do that. I mean, Jay-Z is really well known for apparently not writing anything down, and I don't know if he repeats lyrics in his head to like memorize them.
Yeah.
When I've written stuff before, I've done that where I'm saying it enough times in my head to know what flow I want it to be that I end up memorizing it just by doing that. It helps to write stuff down, obviously, but I'm sure there are more artists who do that, which is cool.
See, I keep a little moleskin book of all my recipes, and there's
yeah, you do. Yeah, recipes.
Yeah, so I'll write like an idea down. If it doesn't work, I'll write what I can do to like make it better next time. It's just interesting to me because like I know, like you have like Google Docs and stuff.
I'll do Google Docs. Yeah,
you do Google Docs. Greg, you used to do some music stuff, right? And you like when you're doing your DJ stuff, and you're thinking about like sets. Do you write that down, or are you just thinking about it in your head?
Yeah, you just practice it. You do it kind of like, I guess it'd be the same as like an MC that's like freestyling all the time. They're always coming up with stuff in their head. So when they go to the battle, they've got this and this and this and this to grab and pull together, and then they've got a...
Yeah, it's awesome.
I mean, I'm guessing. I don't know.
Right. Also, so would you consider yourself a Christian rapper or a rapper who just happens to be Christian?
That's a really good question, man. I was just watching a video about this too. Honestly, man, that's a good question.
Because you've seen a rise of like quote unquote Christian rappers, like Andy Mineo, Lecrae, like even like like a lot of those people from that was it Reach Records? I think is like the big like Christian rap record. It has like Halvey, Andy Mineo, and you know a lot of other people and. You've kind of seen a rise in Christian rap in the last couple of years.
Where they have a big secular influence as well.
Yes, it has a wide reach. Like Coming In Hot was like LeBron used Coming In Hot for real.
Right.
So like, I'm kind of interested to know, like, is that something that you're trying to get into, that specific genre, or?
Where it's super interesting, that question. I know when I first started rapping, I was like, especially being at a Christian college, I was like, you know what? I want to get into the Christian hip hop space. As I started expressing myself, I kind of started to see kind of how I came about music really did, because it's still like a business and a label and stuff. So like I started to see how my style didn't really like necessarily fit the mold of what Christian hip hop was. So I was kind of like, but at the same time, I was like, the secular route, it's whatever, but sometimes I feel like, okay, I can go that route, but what price is about to come with? You know what I'm saying? So I kind of found myself kind of stuck. Like, I really don't know where I fit. But I had went down to Florida last week, and I seen some guys who was, I don't know if y'all know Marcus Rogers. I was with
artists, right?
He's an artist, and I was with my boy Julio and C's. Okay. And these dudes, it wasn't even about like Christian hip hop or like fitting any certain molds. It was just like kingdom.
Oh wow.
So it was different. But yeah, I would say I'm whatever you want to call it. Like if a Christian rapper, if they call me a Christian, like yo, I'm a Christian rapper. If you want to say like secular rapper, it's whatever. I really just use my gifts to get the message out. But
I would say
really put me in a box.
It probably, how I would think of it is like, it probably depends on who you're performing to as well, because if you might have the audience's ear if you don't come out right away and just say, hey, I'm a born again believer, let me tell you all about Jesus, because it's going to come out through your music. But if you're obviously performing for a church, it's probably going to be a little more obvious, right? So,
and like with that title, because I know it was a whole phase where a lot of people kind of backed away from the whole like Christian rapper thing because they didn't want to get put in a box. But like for me, I feel like, yo, like I own it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if you're a Christian and you're a rapper, like you should be the best at what you do. So.
And you feel like that's probably your primary influence, I guess you would say. I mean, it's one of the reasons you got into it.
Yeah.
In some ways?
I would say that definitely is one of the reasons why I got into it, and like a personal dream that I had that like confirmed everything.
Right. So we haven't talked in a while. I don't actually consider myself to be a Christian anymore. However, spirituality has always influenced my life, influenced and changed the lives of a lot of people around me, including you. So I am very sensitive to how a relationship with Christ affects a lot of people, and different interpretations of spirituality as well. So how do you feel like your spirituality influences your relationship with girls, with friends, with family now?
I would say it definitely impacted it in a huge way, in a positive way.
Does it change any of the people that you hang out with, like friends that you hang out with, girls that you talk to, family that you maybe don't associate with anymore because you don't feel like they're good influences, that sort of thing?
Yeah, in a major way.
Huh.
And I wouldn't even say like because of how I interpret other people.
Yeah.
But I've just like for example, I came back home and I'm like, all right, yo, I'm excited to be back home and hang out with all my peoples. They wasn't trying to chill with me no more. Like,
well, why was it? Is it just because you were a believer, or just like a lifestyle had changed, or just what was important to you?
It was I definitely feel like it was just a lifestyle, and I think sometimes when even just like excelling in like hip hop and rap and really pursuing that, I think a lot of times it can make people uncomfortable. Just being around you because it starts to expose kind of like.
Do you feel like other people you knew were like settling in life, like they weren't trying to pursue dreams or goals or something larger than that?
A sense of just like settling, like this is what it is.
Yeah,
and I'm just like nah.
Yeah, we talk about that sometimes, which is this is why good friendship is important, because like good friends will encourage you to like, hey, make sure you're writing a little bit every week, or make sure you're going out there to perform, like you're using your talents. Yeah. And he does that a lot with me, because he'll be like, hey man, I'd really like to see you just do like one social media performance every week. Like just use your talent, use your gift, like don't let it go to waste. Yeah. Like I need that encouragement, because like I think a lot of people just get complacent and get a little lazy, which is okay in some way. People focus on their jobs, they got to survive, they have to take care of their friends or family, their relationships, all that. But there's always time. There's always time to work on stuff you love. That's why we do this. Yeah. And Ruben just came from work and is exhausted. So,
well, it's funny. Like you're talking about people kind of stayed away from you. When we were kind of coming up, like through the church and youth group and stuff, we saw a big. We saw like the Christian rap community is having right now.
Yeah,
I know this is gonna shock you, but we're old, Marquise. So in like 2006, I know, we saw a huge hit with like Christian rock. Kind of had that same thing. There were bands like Under Oath, Anne Berlin. There were a lot of these.
It was a little harder, yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of these bands that were signed to this record called Tooth and Nail, and they were like Christian bands, but like. They weren't really Christian bands. Yeah, they were just on a Christian label.
Played on secular radio. And
and so like Reliant K, and like even now, like you see like Skillet.
Sure.
A lot of these big name bands. And like what they do is everybody listens to their music. Like Christians, non-Christians, like everybody listens to their music. But they always give the word, or like they always say, this is what our goal is. Now, some of those bands are not Christian anymore, but like Skillet is one of those bands that at their shows, they'll say, if you ever questions about, God or this or that, or like, come to us. Is that something you're trying to do with your music or no?
I would say with my music, I guess in a sense, like I don't ever want to come off just like, oh, well, like I'm using God or, Christian hip hop to format. But like in general, like I'm definitely walking into my own lane. I would say I'm definitely walking into my own lane as an artist.
Yeah, I think that's really important for music. I've always thought about that too. Actually, any art is like, you want to be good at what you do, okay? But there's a lot of really good artists. So like, you have to be different. And that's why like when people like, we talked about Kanye earlier, other people who come out and they're like a little bit like crazy, or they do things that are really off the wall. It's like, you kind of have to, because you stick out. And then people are like, oh, now I like that beat, but like, oh, he's got a different flow. I've never heard that before. Or he's talking about something different I've never heard before. Drake's done that, big influence in that way too, just doing a different style. So I admire you in trying to seek something that's different and unique to you. Yeah. which is really cool. Huh.
So what are some direct influences for you as far as like hip hop and like that are like direct influences on your style?
Like musical influences?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say definitely, I mentioned them earlier, Ty Brazzle.
Okay.
Two would definitely be Drake.
Mm-hmm.
Whitney Houston.
Okay.
Another one, man. I love Whitney Houston.
Just in terms of like her music, just giving you an energy that made you want to create, or any particular like sounds or flows from her, from her vocals singing.
It's just like the way when I hear her sing, it's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
I think like just inspiration wise, it's just I want my music to feel like that. You know, sometimes if I'm rapping, I'm getting like gritty with it, but as a whole, like I want that beauty to be within my music. And I guess this was another influence. I don't know if this was counted as like an artist.
Sure.
But like movie soundtracks is like,
oh yeah, that's actually a pretty good one. Because they're great compilations of like lots of different artists and very talented musicians. I always feel it's weird when I go to like an art museum and I'm seeing visual created art, you know, whatever style it is, that often inspires me to go create like music. Because I'm just seeing people who are just like, I don't care what the world thinks about what I'm going to create. I'm going to do something out of the box. I'm going to do what's coming from my brain. And they put it up on canvas or make a sculpture or something. And when I see that, I'm just like, man, like I have to be creating. Like I just have to be creating, even if people aren't listening to me. That's part of the podcast. It's like you create it because you love it, not even if you have a huge audience right away. Do you think about that? Are you thinking about numbers, who's listening, who's paying attention? Are you like, I've got to create, I'm going to share it, and whoever comes along for the journey comes along?
Yeah, kind of the second part you said, like I'm gonna create and whoever comes along comes along.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like as soon as I get in that space of like numbers and stuff, like I'm done.
Yeah, but your following has been growing too. Have you seen that, experienced that?
After the album drop and the EP, 2021 was definitely a big leap for me, like as an artist. Definitely a big leap, man. 2022 is about to be wow.
I'm curious, do you feel that pressure to keep creating or keep performing? Are they kind of both the same?
I would say less of the creation part because it just happens just so natural.
Sure.
I love it and it's an expression of how I share. Performing though, never, I won't say like pressure because like when I'm performing, it's like I'm here to like give a message, so I'm like whatever. Sure. But it can feel like, I don't want to say draining, but I don't want to ever get to a place where I'm like just simply holding a microphone because this is repetition.
Yeah.
So I've always got to be careful in my head when I'm performing, like realizing my why and why I'm here. Because as soon as I get to that place where it's just repetition, I find myself just mentally slipping.
Right. And because it's also not just because you have a day job. Yeah. But you also, it's not just a career path for you. It's also a ministry, really.
Yeah, definitely.
You want people to understand and know the journey that you've come on through knowing Christ and how that can change their lives also. So that's part of it for you, which is really interesting.
Do you ever think about if you do make it big, let's say you're like in like the hundreds of thousands of listeners on Spotify and stuff, like do you ever think about that time where like you are going to be just doing a lot of repetition, like day to day? You know what I mean?
Maybe
like
it becomes your career.
Yeah. Like these artists that this is their career. That's what they do. Every couple days, every day, every other day, they're performing the same set every single day. Is that something you think about? Or is that something that you were, because you said you don't want to get to that point where you're just holding a mic. But if it does become a career, how do you think you would toe that line between it being just repetition and it kind of being something that pushes you to keep doing it every day?
Yeah, it just for me, like even now, like taking vocal classes and kind of performing maybe like 3 or 4 times a week. I've been definitely getting that training, preparing me for that next level.
Nice.
But I like one thing like I said before, when I get to that next level, it's really just remembering why I do what I do, and that's going to like, repetition and stuff, and it becomes a career. But my why is just so great that it would just help me keep going and tap in.
That's the thing, that inner drive.
And really just that inner drive, and for me, just humility. realizing like I didn't necessarily call myself to this, but this is a gift that God has given me. So with that, I'm willing to lay it all on the line.
Yeah, it's an obligation, I think, to use that fulfill your purpose and meaning in life. That's awesome.
You mentioned training. I sent him this a couple months ago. One of my favorite bands is this band called The Wonder Years.
Mm-hmm.
And they just finished a tour where they did 2 albums back to back. And I sent him this post from the lead singer, and I was like, I always wondered how musical artists, like, how they sing so many songs in a row. Because, like, your vocal cords are a muscle, right? Yeah. And, like, I always wondered how musicians, like, train that. So this guy, what he does is he rides his Peloton or a stationary bike, and he sang the albums.
Oh, snap.
So, like, he would be, like, riding the bike, and he's like, I got through an album and a half today, like, all while riding my bike. What are some exercises you do to, like, to train your vocal cords?
Man, big shout out to John Carr, JBCIY events. He's been taking me under his wing. He's a vocal coach.
That's awesome.
And he be having us in there doing a lot of different things, like 0 to 9 counts. Just at different volumes. He's all about like power in your voice. So he'll have us just like expressing as loud as we can, because he's just like, when it comes to that performing, the louder you are, the better you are, the better you sound. And just,
what's the 0 to 9 count?
So like, I don't know, like, will it peak on here? Like, I don't, if I'm like,
no, you're good. It's controlled. You can back away a couple inches, but it's fine. Yeah. So like, that's fine. Yeah.
For example, he might have us do like a mouth workout, and then next thing you know, he's like, all right, 9 count. And we'll be in that thing like 0, 1, 2. And we got to like use our whole mouth, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Really enunciate. Yep,
and then he'll be like modulating like 0, 1. And we just like,
that's awesome.
So yeah, we'll be doing that, and we'll be repeating different words that he's saying, words that'll give us that like mouth workout.
Gotcha.
And he's very heavy on like breathing techniques. So we'll have a whole like hour where we're laying down on a mat, and just like kind of like a meditation in a sense. So like you actually want to hear, like he wants to hear you breathe in, hear you breathe out, and like we'll be doing different workouts with it, all about like breath control and stuff like that. And he'll have us perform a song for like an hour, the same song. And then after all the workouts, we got to perform that same song again. But we see the difference after the workouts. And just our lungs being opened up, our breath control being better.
So literally working out, exercising like an athletic trainer would do. You have to use all that. Yeah. It's actually funny. Sometimes I know, like, if I'm writing stuff, like especially if it's hip hop more and there's a lot of words in it, I realize I didn't plan in any breaths. So when I try to do the whole thing, I'm like, oh, I didn't really plan any places to breathe in there properly. Or are any of your songs like that, or is there a natural flow where there's like breaks in between stanzas or lines, or do you ever have to go back and think about that? Like, oh, I didn't think about how to breathe so that I could get this whole part out.
I have like one song like that called No Parts on a UK drill beat. Usually if I do rap, it usually is like, breath in between.
Sure.
But one song like that where it kind of overlaps. Yeah,
that's cool. Just a real like technical question, but I thought it was fun to like ask you. Yeah, that's cool, man. We do the mental health check. No, actually, do the
I have one more question, then we'll go to the quick fire.
There's so many things, man, to talk to you about.
One more question, then we'll go to the quick fire.
Yeah.
Who's on your Mount Rushmore of rappers? I love this question.
Okay.
It would be 3, right? Is it 3 or 4?
4.
So top 3?
Top 4.
Top 4.
It doesn't have to be top 4 for you. I think like in general, who would you consider on your like top 4?
The greatest of all time.
And I'd like to hear everybody's answer to be
interesting. Greatest of all time. Jeez. All right, well, I'm gonna definitely give credit where credit due, and give the top spot to Drake.
Sure. Okay, that's fair.
To Drake.
Yeah. You mentioned 2 other artists already. Mentioned Whitney Houston and the other guy's name.
Ty Brazzle. So I'm gonna give it to Whitney Houston and Ty Brazzle, and then if I give a number 4 spot,
any genre too, right?
Any genre, just rap.
Yeah, I was thinking more rap.
Oh, okay.
Mount Rushmore rap.
All right, so I'm gonna keep it with rap. I'm gonna give it to Drake, Ty Brazzle, And then
oh man,
number 3. I'm gonna give it to Biggie.
There you go.
I'm gonna give it to Biggie, man.
Throw it back a little bit. That's funny.
And then number 4, I'm gonna give it.
Man, I'm thinking too. That's hard. Yeah.
Skill. I'm gonna give it to Eminem.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I feel like.
Do you know yours?
I think I do, because I think you have to think about their contributions to the hip hop community.
That's what you're using to measure, not
just their talent.
Sure.
So I feel like this list is incomplete if you don't have Tupac and Biggie on there.
Sure.
Right. I feel like you have to have those two on there.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think I really have to explain what their contributions are, right?
Yeah.
So the third, who I think is one of the best lyricists, and he's a modern guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give it to J. Cole.
I was honestly thinking that in my head.
Like, J. Cole, I think, has done a lot for hip hop in a modern term. And then number 4, that's a tough spot, but I think I do have to give it to Eminem, just because of like the broad reach that he has been able to kind of get.
And breaking a mold.
Breaking a mold. Yeah. And like kind of evolving too, from being this like, oh man, I'm a meth addict, da-da-da-da-da. And then like, you know, I want to kill my wife. And then now he's like rapping about like stuff that's like kind of like poignant.
Yeah. Real like, struggles.
Yeah. So those are my 4.
I'd say, I don't know a lot of his stuff, but Rakim was really influential to me. Obviously Tupac. And then Nas was another one, just from listening to his stuff and felt like this was somebody like really took this crap seriously. And then a big one is Dr. Dre. I think
great.
He was so influential because of his, I mean, even hearing when I like scroll Instagram now, scroll TikTok, and seeing kids in high schools now, and somebody gets on a piano and starts playing. Is it still Dre? Yeah, and like seeing like middle school and high school kids like still like be like, oh, like get crazy. I'm like, that just goes to show, because that music is old. It's 2001, right? Like the fact that can hold the test of time is just so powerful to me. But yeah, that's cool.
I feel like I have to hear Greg's answer though.
I know he doesn't have a microphone.
I know.
You're always putting the pressure on.
I know. It's okay, Greg. I do want to hear your answer.
Greg,
maybe
give us
after.
a couple, Greg. Yeah.
So you said Biggie already. I was gonna say Rakim.
Biggie, Rakim.
Yeah.
Oh,
the Beastie Boys too. We forgot them.
Yeah, they're kind of a different one. They're like more of like on like the crossover between like musicians and hip hop at the same time.
They're so different.
Yeah, I'd say them.
It's cool.
I don't know.
There's so many you can argue.
I throw Nas in there.
Yeah.
Nas is a good lyricist.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, if you want to get crazy, you could even throw Diddy in there. I mean,
the guy produces like crazy.
Yeah, he does. He gets people together for sure.
All right, you ready for the quick fire? 5 questions.
Quick fire to Marquise.
5 questions. You ready, Marquise?
It's just like off the top. I got a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Right?
What was the first CD you ever bought?
I really don't.
Or one of the first you remember, you know?
One of the first I remember. It honestly might have been my own CD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or one of the first CDs you like listened to. CDs. I mean, it's going back a way.
Yeah. What was the first 8-track you ever bought?
Yeah. Or first album.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, yeah.
The first time what was the first thing you listened to? What was the first rap song you listened to? And you were like, I could do this.
It was actually a freestyle on the Notorious B.I.G. movie.
Oh.
And they had a scene where Biggie Smalls was like 17. He was freestyling. Yeah, that was
on the movie. That's wild.
He said he came on the thing. He was like, I call you son because you mine, not because you shine.
That's
I was like,
awesome. Oh, I wouldn't have thought of that.
I used to like make videos of myself like rapping it.
Wow.
Do you play any instruments?
I did play the trumpet for 5 years, but like right now, I don't. I'm currently learning a little bit of piano.
And what is a musical artist that you're not necessarily embarrassed about on your iPod or Spotify, but that people would be surprised to know that is on there?
I was just Third Eye Blind.
Okay.
It's a good one.
How's it gonna be?
They're pretty influential, yeah.
Yeah.
4. That was 5.
That's 4.
Yeah.
4.
All right.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine. All right. So the last one we're going to do is mental health check. We told you about before the podcast. So on a scale from 0 to 10, 0 being you feel the worst, 10 being you feel absolutely amazing, couldn't feel any better. How do you feel in this moment right now today?
Man,
0 to 10.
I'm gonna say 6.5.
Oh, that's good. Okay. That's honest. Anything in particular that's going on that makes you feel like less than an 8, 9, 10?
Yeah. I was just like literally when I came in here and I got a phone call.
Yeah.
Guy called me and I was like, just the temptation to just like, I've been faced recently just with a lot of counterfeits.
Yeah.
I'm going one way and it's very clear of just all the doors that God has been opening up, but I've been getting a lot of counterfeits rather. That's like career decisions to go this route in the industry, but then kind of be in a place where like, you know, everybody's wilding out and it kind of goes against what I believe.
Sure.
Or like relationships, like women like coming on to me and they like got nothing to do with where I'm headed.
Yeah.
But like they telling me stuff that sound nice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm like, geez, bro, like this is really, and I feel like I'm right on the edge of a breakthrough and I'm like, I don't not want to blow.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like
there's a lot of temptations on that road. Sure. I'm sure there are. That's cool. I'll go an 8. I had a good conversation with my ex tonight. Got some good closure. My ex from Ecuador.
Closure's always good.
She's moved on with someone else, and as she should. And but it was good. It really needed that to push me in a direction. So
Closure's always nice. I think I'm
7. I'd say 7.
Yeah, I was just saying I'm holding steady at probably like a 7.2.
Yeah,
I'm always pretty specific with my numbers.
What about work? Has work been good to you this week?
Work's been work. You know, at this point, it's like it's about what I expect. So
True.
You know, it's been good. You know, I think
That's good.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
hard to say anything higher than that sometimes because I'm like, I feel like I'm doing good, but like 8 or 9 seems excessive.
Yeah, it does. Like I said, like 8 or 9 is like 9, 10 is like euphoric. Like I don't know. It's how I feel after I drink an energy drink. I'm just like, oh my gosh, everything's amazing, you know? Anyway. All right. So can you just tell us real quick where people can find you on Instagram, Spotify, on a web page, anything?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Quiece Aziz, QUIECEAZIZ.
And we'll put it up on the video. TikTok at all?
Yeah, TikTok. Yeah, I do have a TikTok. Need to be more active. I got some content though.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard.
Yeah,
it's
we
hit or
do
miss
too.
for TikTok.
TikTok though, same thing. QUIECE. On TikTok, it should be an underscore AZIZ.
Where's your next performance if you have one lined up?
My next performance, actually will be at an open mic tomorrow. So if you're in Wilmington, Delaware, definitely come check that out. It's in Newcastle. Prime Styles Barbershop. Put that in your GPS and it'll take you straight there.
Prime Styles Barbershop. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Cool. You can find us guys on Instagram, Guys Who Cry Official. Also on Spotify. We always put our links to the latest episode on the bio, so check us out there.
Yeah, you can also find us on TikTok, but same thing. We need to be a little bit more active.
Yeah.
Guys Who Cry Official 2396.
And YouTube, guyswhocry.com/
Yeah, help us get to that 100 people mark.
YouTube. Yes, please. We're going to do a special performance in a little bit, but guys, thank you for tuning in this week. Check us out next week and be entertained.
I want you to look at the person right next to you and tell them you are not alone. You thought it was over, you thought God was done with you because you fell on your face and you messed up 1,000,000 times. But can I keep it real with you right now? Yeah. I never wanted the sex, I just
just wanted the love. That nut was like my high, man, it gave me a buzz. And then I up and leave, she be like, what's the rush? I knew I got what I wanted, so I just left out the door. Now she feeling confused, now she asking all these questions, so I tell her what she wants so I can come back for more. She using sex for love, and I'm just using love for sex. I know exactly what I'm doing, I'm so deceiving, like Satan up in the garden of Eden. Now I'm feeling wicked cause she crying. I tell her that I love her, but I'm lying, cause I don't know what love is. I just love her hips, the way she throw it back and giving up the head. And every time I speak about it, man, it make me sick. And then I really think about it, I was really sick. Diagnosis, birth with a disease called sin. On the quick path to destruction. Before you take a win, you gotta take a lot of L's. I get naked with the crowd, he was naked on the cross. You know I can't write a song if it's not raw. I do it for the king, I don't do it for applause. Nah, I don't do it for applause. I've been writing all these songs like it's about to be my last. Demons in reflection, so I start punching the glass. I gotta thank the Lord, I had to spin around the block a couple times just to learn my lesson. I know I got a kid up in heaven after everything I've done. I know I don't deserve to live, but I'm a product of his grace, and I swear it's such a blessing. By the age of 7, grew up in the city, but I never was a felon. I cried in front of just because I wanted to change, and now the way I walk, they be calling me the Reverend.
I drove crazy, dog. I drove crazy.
You know what I'm saying? It's not over.
It's been a journey, bro. It's only the beginning.
Yeah. Everybody say, hey. You know what I'm saying? The beautiful thing about God is he can meet you exactly where you are, you know what I'm saying? You are not alone.